we're started. All good? You guys switching all around? Cool. Nah, you're good. You got it. Cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, this is the Our Place podcast. I am getting shorter. Okay. I got two Millersville students here with me today. I'm super excited about this. We got Ahmed, who is a junior,
You.
and Arlene, so close, who is a what? Sophomore. All right. Why don't you guys just introduce yourselves, tell us what you're majoring in, kind of what some of your passions are. And
Passions. Great question. My name is Ahmad Williams. I'm a junior studying music management. I'm from Chester. It's a little city outside of Philadelphia. A lot of stuff goes down there, I guess. My passions are, I guess, music, just helping people, being a positive person. And I also have like a love for events, so putting on quality events that change people's lives, whether big or small, whether that's workshops or like.
Sorry, I keep like getting shorter. I don't know what's going on. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
And my name is Arlene. I'm a sophomore here studying psychology. Some of my passions are writing. I enjoy just speaking it out with people. This is really difficult. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're just a person. You're cool.
Yeah.
You got writing. You like people. You like conversations. Mm-hmm. Cool. Those are all good things. Okay, talk about what made you guys choose Millersville.
We always talk about this because the other day she was like, people actually don't know why they come here. I just speak from this lens. Like, I know why, but people have a reason for coming to Millersville, but people really come just because, it's the only school they apply to. I forget that sometimes. But great question, Isaac. Yeah. Why did I come to Millersville? So I guess in the long run, it seemed like a safe option. It was a state school that I know wasn't too expensive, but still offered a valuable program that had a lot of stuff that I was looking for. Cool. So I thought it was a safe option. A lot of my peers went to like either these private schools they got scholarships to, but it wouldn't have taken them through their entire 4-year or 5-year college career. I didn't want to have to like go to school 1 year and not have money for it. So I was trying to think realistically, financially. Like, I don't got it like that. My parents don't have it like that. So I came to Millersville. I met this professor. His name was Dr. Taka. I call him like my white dad. He was just really cool. Saw a lot in me, saw that I was, passionate about music, saw my gifts, and was willing to work with me throughout my, at least my first 2 years here.
Cool.
So shout out to him.
Yeah.
Shout out to OG for everyone. I came here, I committed here, and I was like, okay, I like this place. I thought everyone was nice. I was just living the dream. I got here and it was, different. I still love it, but yeah.
Cool.
I wasn't as prepared as Ahmad was. I had applied to a couple other schools and wanted to go to other schools, but then for the admitted students day, I came and I fell in love with the campus and the staff. Everyone was so nice, and I was like, okay, this is home. So I came, and now it's still home,
Yeah.
with this little stuff.
With the little stuff. Okay, cool. Let's get into the little stuff then, since that seems to be where this is going. There's obviously a lot of little stuff. So, walk me through some of it. I don't go to Millersville. What are some of the issues that you guys face as minority students?
Minority students. That word is so funny because we're the minority. We're actually the majority. But,
so you're the majority at Millersville?
No, I'm just like in the world period. I feel like.
The world period? he's like, actually, I don't want to be called the minority anymore. I feel like the majority.
I'm very major in my personality. I don't want to be whatever. What was the question again? Where do we start?
Experience being a African American, not minority, on campus.
There, we all know there's HBCUs and there's PWIs. I like to call Millersville an EWI, which stands for Extremely White Institution. So, with that being said,
wow.
And Millersville has a lot of great white people, and I love most of the white people that go to this school. There's a lot of great people with great hearts that have a love for what they do. There's a lot of good people within the departments. I think that's why the quality, or Millersville has been associated with great quality in the past, because of the people and faculty that do work here and do love Millersville. It also just have that homey vibe to it. The area and the community just seems very homey. So for certain people that do enter this campus. I think the problem now for students of color mostly is just not seeing themselves in the picture. there's a lack of representation across the board within academics, whether it's academics like specific with faculty members. There's no students of color, faculty of color, and when you're in a class with a bunch of with your fellow white peers, I guess, and you're the only black person or the only Latino person or Latinx person in the classroom, you're often like overlooked. It's not like your voice is being magnified or heightened. It's just more like we're going to overlook the fact that he is black or she is, a person of color, and we're going to act like everything is fine and dandy. And I think that's where
the problem begins.
Yeah, so you have like a colorblind campus.
Basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
I feel
like that's a good way to put it. It sounds like what you're saying. It sounds like the colorblind era.
Basically.
Right.
Okay.
And I would say, like, just in the classroom, being the only minority is... I've always, like, used it as a strength, but now that I'm, like, really in this college thing, it's like, wow, okay, so I can't really pair up with the other girls or things like that. Like, you can feel the discrimination, and I have never been able to feel that until I came to college.
Yeah. I went to a PWI for about a year and a half, and yeah, I would agree that I think that I'm not speaking for Millers, but I went to Lancaster Bible, but I think that
the OPC.
Yeah, bro. A while ago. But yeah, that feeling is very weird. I remember when I was in school, Kaepernick had just done the kneeling, so that was my sophomore year, and I was in English class, and the professor was choosing articles online that we should talk about. And she was like, oh, here's an interesting one, the Kaepernick kneeling. And I remember I've stuck my head so far down into my journal, because I didn't pay attention in class. I was always writing. Mm-hmm. So I was like, boom, just pretend like you're doing something else. And literally, she was like, anybody want to talk about this? Nobody raised their hand. And I was still not looking up. And she's like, Isaac. She's like, Isaac.
You know my name.
But what's funny, she was like, Isaac, you seem like you would know about this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And yeah, so then I had to just give my little spiel on Kaepernick, and I was like, I know that probably was not super accepted here, but thanks for calling me out. And it's super awkward.
Always.
It's so awkward.
I remember one time I was in my freshman year, I was in computer application and music production class. We were, our professor, he was on the board for some songwriting contest, so he was reviewing a bunch of submissions, and he decided to show some of the submissions that he liked in class just to get our opinions of it. And it was this wannabe band rap group. And, I was the only black person in the class. So I guess he felt like I was the spokesperson for hip-hop, the whole hip-hop genre in that moment. And it was a very, a band that was more Linkin Park-esque.
With some rap. I can only imagine.
Basically, and he shows the video, and they're doing whatever they think is rap, or whatever their I'm not gonna say whitewash, but whatever their version of music that they get.
Gentrified rap.
He said it, I didn't. And I'm just like, okay, that's not rap. That's not calling hip hop. When we're in class and people are calling it hip hop, I like this is the best rap. I don't like this type of rap, but I like this type of rap. The other type of rap is actual rap. This is not rap.
Yeah.
Okay?
And did you say that?
Well, let me finish the story. Then he goes, Ahmad, and I'm just like, well, I'm a little confused here because my view of rap and what we just both all experience is very different.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, explain. I'm like, well, if you didn't get it from my thesis point where I just basically said my thesis statement, if you didn't get it right there,
You're
I'm
not
sure
it was already done. Yeah,
let's just end it right there. But I think it's funny too that as a music major, music is something that unites us all.
Yeah.
But so often I always feel like I'm, just kind of like I don't put on a pedestal, but yet also kind of singled out at the same time. My best friend goes to LBC, Lancaster Bible College. She's studying worship arts. And I went to a Christian school my entire life, the Christian Academy, and we also had we went to we had a Fine Arts Festival at LBC. So I used to be on campus, and there's a lot of white people that go to LBC, and they have a gospel choir.
Yeah.
But
it's a white
gospel, basically. Yeah. So it's just like when you don't have representation there, the quality is altered.
Yeah.
And there's not a real pursuit of authenticity. Like, we settle for mediocrity. We settle for like the little carbon copy of what it really should be, instead of actually taking the time to educate. There's nothing wrong with white people sing gospel music,
Right.
but it is a problem with no one's there to teach it the right way, and then we're forced to believe that this is somehow a true version of what
Right.
the real art form is, and we're not giving credit to what credit is due. And we don't know the history for where we come from, and that's when you I guess you start to get into appropriation territory,
Yeah.
where your whatever product that you're putting out isn't accepted because you just
Yeah.
you sound like
Makes sense.
shit.
Who's your best friend?
Her name's Taylor Williams. She wasn't there my freshman year. She went to
Okay.
Lee University, but she just transferred last year.
Yeah, I don't think I know who that is,
Yeah.
but I'm over there quite a bit, so yeah, I know what's going on over there. Okay, so what about student groups? That's something that I've never experienced. So you guys have quite a few minority-run student groups, or people of color run student groups. What are those like? Are those helpful? Are those good? I mean, I know Rita's not there anymore.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. So what are those like? What's that been your experience there?
When I first got on campus, I said I'm going to join everything under the sun and be like the most involved person, just because that's the way that I like succeed. If I'm around people just doing things. And so I went to like all of the BSU's events, the NAACP's events, any event that you can go to, I was there. And what I found is that the same group of people would go, and people would walk back and forth past the room and like look in, and it would always be like, oh, should I go in there, should I not? Because it seems more like a clique kind of thing and not so much like everyone's welcome, you know? And so after a while you kind of get tired of hearing the same things and dealing with the same like situations and not necessarily seeing any outcomes. So I just don't go anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I heard that same thing like a year or so ago.
Yeah.
When I guess I came to the wrong event, but it was one where I guess they were talking about the BSU and somebody brought that up. And so that's interesting. What about you? What's
Yeah. I never, when I first got to Mosville, I said the same thing. I wanted to join the BSU, the NAACP, and I ended up joining a bunch of other organizations that were predominantly white. Only because in a university where you're not the majority, often our voices are overlooked, and if we're not at the table, you're on the menu. And a lot of our students of color, sometimes we're not invited to the table, or we don't take the offer or the invitation to the table, so we don't get to speak up and say the things that truly bother us as a student or a student population group on campus. So as soon as I got here, I guess I kind of took the role as I want to get onto these, larger core orgs, so I joined UAB. And as director of entertainment, I was able to bring acts that kind of like black people wanted. So I brought Wild 'N Out to campus, and I had like acts that our people appreciate, rather than the common MTV comedian or the random hypnotist that that will draw a different crowd.
yeah.
But as far as multicultural student orgs and identity-based organizations, I think Millsville is lucky to have so many different identity-based organizations, because a lot of schools don't have that.
Yeah.
And I think the funding and the amount of funding and the programming money that the university puts into organizations is also good, because orgs are allowed to do a lot of great things, and they have accomplished a lot of great things.
And they
So
have.
and I do applaud them for that. But there is a level of clickiness and clannish activity that isn't
Clannish. That was a little wild.
activity that like kind of affects us.
Yeah.
We have a Cecil. You know what the Cecil is?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Cecil is like where most of the black people hang
Yeah.
out.
I've walked past it a couple times. I see all the
and
black. I see that's where all the black people are. Yeah.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
there's like these little half glass doors, but like it's kind of like secluded. Like you feel like you have to walk in, so people call
It's the black place.
basically.
Yeah.
And if you're a black person walking past that and you see somebody and you see a bunch of black people hanging out in the Cecil, but you don't know any of those black
Right.
people, you're not like, some people are not like, okay, let me go in there, there's a bunch of black people. They're just like,
Exactly.
should I go in? Because obviously I didn't get the invitation.
Right.
And, I didn't know this was a place that we hung out, I don't
Yeah.
know. This is where we decided. Is it going to be different next week? Should I bring food? Can I bring games? Like, it's like, it's not always. So sometimes it takes someone like, hey, come in. What's your name? And we don't always have that, especially among our people sometimes.
But I think that both of us, you and I have taken the initiative to just grab those people and tell them like, hey, like, we're here for you. We got you. You can come in and, feel comfortable in these spaces.
Yeah.
So I think if there were more people just reaching out, like if you see someone and you just say, hi, my name is, how are you,
Yeah.
and it'll make the difference for sure.
Yeah. I like that you talked about you joined more of a white-run organization because you wanted to do something different. I think a lot of times we get expected to be like the BSU people, the NAACP people, and when you're that one black guy on I forget what you call it,
It's
that
the
group.
University
Activities board.
That's the sellout almost in a sense. You know what I mean?
Basically.
There's that assumption that kind of comes with that, but it's interesting that you kind of like you kind of like change that. You made an opportunity to bring cultural events under a more powerful guise, which is awesome. And I think that should be commended differently because I think we need to break some of these stereotypical things that happen with black people where we all have to follow the same pattern. And I think it also goes with like that room. Like I feel like black people almost like fall into their own stereotypes to where like they were probably like, well, we're all in here and all black people sit together, so like why would a black person not just come in here?
Yeah.
Well, black people are diverse people in and of themselves.
Yeah.
So there are like introverted black people who might not realize that they can just come in. So that's interesting that you kind of have observed that, and like that's something that's going through your head. In terms of like freshman year and those people, do you tend to like see a lot of black kids like leave the school after their first year, or do black people kind of like the school and kind of stick around? There seems to be a lot of black people, so I don't know.
There's not that many black people.
It looks like a lot, but it's not.
Definitely looks like a lot.
When I first came here, I was like, yeah, Millsville half black,
Me
half
too.
white. I was telling everyone. Went to high school. I'm like, I think Millsville had more predominantly white. Nah, we there, I was saying like my HBMU, like it's very black Millsville University.
Oh, you are
because
funny.
a
It's
lot.
interesting that it changed.
Well, in the past, there's this thing called Thoreausville, and so basically, Students of Color Alumni Association, Millsville used to be like this popping place, and I have a lot of people that just were in my neighborhood who went to Millersville, a lot of educators who went to Millersville, black educators who went to Millersville. So the way they described it to me after I was accepted into university, it was like this place where, there's white people, there's black people, we get along, it was lit, there was parties, I got here and it was so dry. I'm like, what is this,
Like, where'd you be?
And academics is also something that, let me say what's not academics, but retention and student success is also a problem at Louisville. Students are being retained the same way. A lot of students are leaving. Most people, the 4-year graduation rate for our university is like pretty low right now. I'm not going to give percentages, I don't really know, but it's low. And that's something that the university has taken as a key issue that they're trying to fix with the new administration with President Uba. So alone, just the university period is already low. The retention rate for black students has to be
low.
And I think it goes for a lot of things. I don't think students feel supported within their departments. I know for a fact that I don't feel supported. I guess I don't really feel supported within my department. If you're not
active,
if you're not involved, if you're not vocal about your feelings, if you don't know how to operate at a white institution, then you're not going to succeed. A lot of us come from places where there are predominantly black schools or predominantly students of color high schools, and other people come from schools where there's predominantly white. We all get to this place, and it's like we're supposed to just act like education has been the same thing, like we've been getting the same resources when we haven't. A lot of my counterparts had AP Music Theory in their high schools. I didn't. I went to a small private school. We focused more on liberal arts, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like a lot of activities.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
like Bible, English, math, history.
Yeah.
Same, it wasn't all the fun stuff. So I didn't have AP Music Theory. When I got to school, people were talking about things. I'm like, I don't understand it. I can sing it probably, but I don't understand this technically or theoretically.
Yeah.
But when the whole class gets it and you're the only one student of color who doesn't get it,
it really
it's just like,
feels
you feel underprepared. You don't feel like you should be here. You feel like maybe you're out of place. Is this major right for me? And if you're not, if you don't have faculty members or just professors who care enough to work you through those feelings, as well as also being on your own, being an adult, having to make decisions for yourself. There's a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings to deal with, and I think that's what really gets, discourages people to come back. And then you have financial aid issues. Like there's a million other problems that you run into as being a student. And if you're not prepared to handle all those issues, and those resources aren't available, you're kind of bound to not succeed.
We have this conversation very often, and I always thought, like, if you reach out for help, you'll get supported, But then you really have to think, like, why would I feel comfortable reaching out to someone who, where I'm from or like where my family is from, these people would never support us, So I know that is a difficult thing for a lot of people who go here, like Black people.
Yeah. Okay. So proactive ways that like you think that administration could change that. Like what are some ways that could actually be like a realistic change to that?
Well, the university has taken steps to open a new office, just the Student Success Programs Office, a kind of bridge of the PSSI program, Pre-Scholar Summer Institute program. They have a lot of faculty members who work with students that come in over the summertime who may not have the GPA requirement to get in, or they've been offered admission into the university, conditional admission into the university, and they work with them to prepare them. There's an office that works with students, anyone who needs help, just setting goals for themselves, financial goals, helping them get their stuff together financially, as well as like personal goals, resume building. Like if you need help just like organizing your life, your 5 classes to get your life together, you need to wake up this time. They have people there for that. I do applaud them for that. Ways that as students we can help, I think it's just to look out for your peers. I think as a junior, when I do notice that people are students of color who do enter the music department, I'm like, hey, what's your name, blah, blah, blah. Please don't let this happen to you. Do you need my books? Like I have all my textbooks here with my books, You have to actually invest in people, each one reach one. My mom always tells me if you can help someone along the way, your living is not in vain. So I think that's what I try to do personally, is like wake up. If there's someone that I know is in need of resources, and I have these resources, or if I had to struggle to get those resources, I now have them, I would be remiss if I did not share that with somebody else, because we all succeed when we are all doing well. I cannot claim success if Arlene is not also doing well, as my friend, as my sister. So I think embracing that responsibility that we all need to help each other do the things that our university does not provide, or where our university falls short sometimes.
Yeah,
I agree, 100%.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a Black thing as a whole. Like as disenfranchised people, as people that have been set back by society, we almost have to do that. That's one of the reasons that I like J. Cole a lot, is because he always talks about that. He's always like, like in Middleman, he's like, what's good at the bread is if my bros can't eat.
Yeah.
Like,
what's good for class if my bros can't sit with me? Like,
exactly. And that's a real fact. Like, what good is it? Like, that's one of the reasons that I don't really mess with some of the billionaire Black people. I don't really jump on that train of heavy praise, because there's a lot that people could do with that money, and there's a lot that's being done, and there isn't a lot that's being done with that money, because once you understand how capitalism works, the game is over. Most Black people just choose to if they have the money, they just stay there. And I think that's a really hard thing. I think money and education and status, that pride and greed that kind of comes with that, kind of keeps us trapped a lot of the times, and a lot of people can't look outside themselves, like you're saying. You could easily just be a junior or a sophomore who's the little freshman will figure it out. I figured it out. I'm good. You know what I mean? That could, that can very easily be a thing. But going outside of ourselves helps create stronger students. You know what I mean? And that does well for your school as a whole. What about the president? So your president is Black now, and he's not just Black. He's
African.
He's African. And I remember I saw that. I was at the It's On Us Summit at your school, and I was like, oh, that's an African man.
Okay, black man.
I was like, oh, that's not just a black man. That's an African man with an accent.
Yes.
They were not playing games.
Yes. I love President Wu.
I love him.
That's my
I
guy.
really love him.
I love him to death, honestly. He remembers everyone's name.
How? Like
Everyone's
you know
name. I
how
met them
kids-
in one day in the summertime. I was doing a new student, a transfer student orientation, and I had to pick him up. He requires an escort. I don't know why, but
He's like the prince of his tribe in Ghana.
yeah. So he requires.
Oh, wow.
He has to have someone. I think that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I picked him up. I'm like, hey, my name is Ahmad. From that point on, that man has never forgot my name. I'm sure he's met a bunch of people who's traveled
Yeah.
all over the world.
Wow.
And just for him to see my face and always acknowledge me and acknowledge my presence, I think is something that's just, it shows that he cares about his students.
He's a good guy.
The last conversation we had, I planned the MLK March, and he attended the march, and he was like, well, how's the internship looking? And I was like, I remember last time we talked about the internship, you were talking about this. And like, for him to remember our last conversation that I felt was probably like small talk, I was like, wow, I forgot that we even talked about that. And like, he's holding me accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I know I'm not on this man's mind. He has a bunch of things on his other mind, but he thought not robbery to actually, think about me and ask about internships and then inquire about, opportunities in the area. It's just like, I love him.
Wow.
That's my guy, my nigga.
Yes.
That's what it is, yeah.
He's a bro.
That's cool. Do you have any...
I haven't had as much encounter as Ahmad has had, but anytime that I see him, he just remembered my name, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how you remembered, but... And then he's just so sweet all of the time. Like, so nice to everybody. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to take a break real quick and make sure the camera's working and kind of get
Alrighty.
We're going to go into a little bit of talking about kind of local Lancaster and what it's like being a student not even from Lancaster. What are your guys feeling around? Like, do you guys get reached out to a lot by nonprofits, or do you feel like you know what's going on in Lancaster City?
Me personally know that, my most experience I have with working with nonprofits or organizations within Lancaster is I guess Next Generation, or I guess in the Just King campaign.
Yeah.
I did some canvassing with her.
Yeah, Just King was really active. She was that was one of the best campaigns from around here.
And she got a lot of students involved too. So
Yep.
that's the first time in my Millsville career I actually saw that advocacy work or activism work take place or
Right on
perform
campus.
on campus. And
Wow.
students were forming their own groups. I know the College Democrats and the College Republicans actually came together to host events, and also like the College Progressives formed during the Just King campaign.
Wow.
So it was just like, that's the first time I actually saw it take shape on Millsville campus.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Other organizations like, I don't know, I guess heard of Christmas Addicts.
Yeah, of course. Christmas. Yeah.
I've heard of them through other different organizations or through students who now work for them.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And they host the MLK breakfast every
Yeah,
year
yeah.
in Millsville. We got to attend. So
Oh, you guys got to attend that.
that was cool.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Did students get to go for like a discount, or did you guys get to go for free? Or were you just invited because you were?
Well, we are both work employees at the Intercultural Center. Dr. Rita Smith laid out Intercultural Center for Student Engagement at Millsville, so the center paid for us to go.
Oh, very cool. That's super cool. I wanted to go, but it just didn't work out that day. What would you guys want to be, like, if we set up a program that got students at Millersville more involved? Like, is that something that you think many students are actually looking for? Just like that reach out, the ability to get internships or jobs, or to even just be mentored by local activists and entrepreneurs who are doing this change work that you guys are at least one day trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can definitely see a lot of people like using that space and it being beneficial to them. I just know that it needs to be heavily promoted on our campus because oftentimes people will hear things and they'll think like, oh, I'm not interested in that. But as long as you heavily promote, like, I think it would be a great.
Yeah. So Millersville is a big promoting. You have to make sure it gets in people's faces.
Yes. Yes.
You don't just show up for anything.
Yeah. It's
Interesting.
hard getting people out to certain, even the multicultural student organizations or the identity-based organizations have a hard time getting people
To just show out.
to and it's a lot of times it's free events, free stuff being given away,
Yeah.
free food, and people still don't come. I'm just like, there's so many perks, like, and you're all paying for it in your activities, so you
Yeah.
might as well show up, you know?
That was one thing that was interesting to me about the It's On Us Summit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I went there and I did not meet a single student. I was like, this is a sexual assault summit on your campus. Okay, so I did meet some students, but they were working the camp. They
Mhm.
were working it. So I didn't meet any students that were like just attending to be like, yes, we support knowledge around sexual assault.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even really see one, like maybe one or two, because the president came and spoke. And so I guess like a couple like new students came in for that and then kind of left. So it was very interesting to me. And even when I go to BSU events, like you guys had M. Brown Kendi last year,
Mhm.
and like I was ready when I saw that event. I was ready to go. And even then, you guys get some students, but it's interesting how many people from the outside come to your events.
Yes.
I'm always very interested by that because I never feel weird about the fact that I come to them because I see so many other
Other
people
people.
from the outside who are like, yeah, we're just gonna go and see what this is about. Okay, I guess have you noticed that I guess more people from the outside are coming than people from the inside? Is that like a problem that you see?
I think it's a problem. It's a hard problem. A hard problem.
Yeah.
My friend, what was her name? What I'm trying to say. I'm losing my train of thought because I got distracted. My friend Daniela, she's a Delta member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Delta's favorite sorority.
Yeah, that's your favorite sorority?
Yeah, that's my favorite sorority. What's wrong? What's wrong?
Ooh. No, my girl's a Delta, so you know they're my favorite right now.
Right now.
So, like, all more power to you. Anyway, her post on Instagram was like, do you feel PWI should take money from multicultural student orgs if they are putting on events that are not being attended by students or by black
Ooh.
students? And people have a lot of stuff
Yeah,
to say
very
about
different
that.
takes on it.
We have different takes on it, but from a student org or from a person who's been on multiple exec boards of a predominantly white and both, multicultural student orgs, it's just like when you're getting funding, when you're putting on events, you do have to have, like viable outcomes. Like money can't be wasted. Yes, money is being wasted a million other places at university, but when you're already not seen as a priority, you don't really have much wiggle room to fail. So, but it also goes for students to be more cognizant, like, okay, this program is for me, it's targeted for me, at least can I show my face, Can I do my part to support these students who have taken upon themselves to serve the community,
Yeah.
the student color community itself. And I think we take that for granted a lot
Yeah.
because a lot of schools don't have that.
Mm.
And I think it has become a privilege or a luxury at Millsville, so we walk past events. We have so many events that we just like, okay, we'll go to the next one, we'll go to the next one. We have A-list speakers that come and no one shows
no
up.
one shows
Yeah.
up.
A-list speakers,
You really
B-list
do.
speakers.
Yeah.
And these are money. This is money. Like the
Yeah.
money's coming from somewhere.
Mhm.
And at some point the question has to be asked if you're at the table with the administrator, well, how many people attended the events? How many people ID swipes did how many people IDs did you swipe? And you only have 50 and the speaker costs $5,000 to $10,000 for a 2-hour event and no one comes. It's like that's all the administration sees is just money wasted.
Mhm.
So I see both sides. I just wish people would be, take the responsibility. Like, hey, maybe I should just show up. Maybe check it out.
Yeah.
I don't know who the person is. I can look them up. It takes 2 seconds on Google.
Exactly. Cool. He said you guys had different viewpoints. Did he kind of cover both of them, or?
Yeah, he
I'm sorry.
definitely stole my whole.
I didn't do that.
This is a little bit off topic, but the university has this diversity to inclusion initiative going on right now. And they do have all of these programs set up where they want people to come and be active so that we could start seeing changes on our campus. But you see that a lot of these programs and events and things, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
And it's disheartening to people who really do want to see that change because it's like we're trying, but we need you guys to also, come out and support and just, be a part of it so that we could actually see some change.
Yeah. And I do a little bit of diversity consulting. And I think one thing that a lot of times bigger companies miss with diversity initiatives is like the simplicity of just doing targeted events and not so many events. You know what I mean? Like, that could be a problem that's going on in Millersville. They have so many students that they have such a big fund. I feel like they might just be doing too much.
It
You know
could
what I
be
mean?
that, yeah.
Like, what happens if they just choose to do, like, the speakers that they know will get people to come out to them, to start seeing how they can just, like, build some momentum around it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People, like, don't want to backtrack and actually create something successful because that feels like failure. Instead of actually, like, going back and being like, oh, maybe if I do things this way, we could actually build back up to where we were and actually have people show out.
Right.
Um,
That is true. Like,
Yeah.
Are the events that they're putting on actually targeting?
yeah. And so if you know that, like, this event targets this demographic and this event targets this demographic, like, just choose one event for each demographic that you want to hit, shoot it their way, see how many of them show up, data it, and then come back to the table. But I feel like, again, like, especially with, like, consulting and, like, diversity initiatives and inclusion initiatives, like, who's ever running the show says a lot about how the show's going to be run. Let me say that. And whoever has that experience under their belt also has a different perspective than some of the people who are, like, qualified to do diversity consulting, who haven't ever had, like, a experience at a college that would help them figure out, you know, how to do a diversity initiative.
Right.
Because, yeah, like, I've read a lot of the books, too, and, like, the books are helpful, sure. But there's a different side of it, which is that,
Yeah.
like, there are
The
actual
life
people,
aspect.
there are actual people who are, like, experiencing it,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes a long way to creating an actual environment that people actually want to be involved in. That's interesting. Okay, so one of the ideas that I kind of had was kind of finding some of the people in Lancaster who are doing activism work, kind of like Just King, like kind of how Just King did, but like almost creating like these, like every 6 months and maybe every other month if we could do it, events that kind of just brought those people in to do kind of like workshops around whether it's activism, entrepreneurship, different things like that. But it's like it's all Lancaster based, so you're also being connected to like local outlets. Is that something that would be like interesting to students? Like, do you think students would actually like get behind that, or would that be like an idea that would flop, like some of the others' ideas? Because I don't want to do like anti-productive things either.
No, it's definitely a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think.
No, you're good. I mean, it could be a good idea that wouldn't work. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or it could just be a bad idea. You know what I mean? It might just be a bad
No,
idea.
I think it is a good idea, and it would definitely like help our community for sure. But I think that getting the students there would be
Yeah.
the struggle of it. I think it would be beneficial, and as soon as students like pick up and go, then
Yeah.
I think it would be.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I think it's definitely a great idea. Students Millsville has a hard time engaging students, especially students of color. They're not.
Yeah.
People don't want to join organizations anymore. You know,
Yeah.
They want to just be a student and live their happy lives and get their education. And but there's a lot. That's not what school's about. It's about the whole entire experience, and you can get your degree but not have any life skills to take into your major or to take into your career.
Cool.
And,
Yeah, for real. And then you wonder why so many people are unemployed after college.
basically.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think that would be definitely a great resource that you could offer for the students. I think that would be a very positive thing.
Yeah. But how do
Sometimes
we-
I get nervous
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, because you have to do it effectively. That
Mhm.
isn't like a flop.
I think
And
that's
that-
what I'm thinking
Yeah.
about.
Right, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what was kind of going
And it's
on.
nerve wracking. You know what I mean? You don't want to do something that's just like, has a 3 swipes. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
I
Sounds like
know. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. Kind of like a lazy culture. You're trying to get people amped.
Basically,
Trying to get people out of their rooms.
Mhm.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
That nobody comes outside.
and that I don't know if it's because Millsville does have a large commuter population, but people really go home on weekends.
Mhm.
People wait till Thursday they out. Parking lots are empty. You're like, wow.
James over there like shaking his head. He's like,
Oh, it's
he's like,
I
fine.
could find a
It's
parking
nice.
spot all week, but now I can find it's Thursday. People are out, so it's
Wow.
just like getting students to be engaged and to stick around for something like that. It's just so many things that
I'm not gonna lie, that is shocking to me. Like not going to Millersville, because like whenever I walk through Millersville, I'm always like, this is so weird that this is here. Because, like, I grew up in Leola, which is, like, almost 30 minutes the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I never really came out to Millersville until maybe once when I was younger, but, like, definitely not until I was older. And I remember, like, 2 or 3 years ago when I walked through Millersville for the first time, I was, like, literally like, what the hell? Like, what happened? Like, I didn't know there was, like, a university here. Whenever I imagined Millersville, I still imagined it being, like, a small school.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys have so much here.
Yeah.
Like, between your gym, like, just, like, a month ago, I walked through your gym for, like, the first time, like, the whole thing, and I was literally like, oh, like, what? Like, I was like, dang, this is a lot. So it surprises me that, like, you can't get people to do stuff, because it seems like there's, like, so many options.
Maybe too many options.
Yeah, maybe that's the problem. There's not enough of us, and there's too many options.
You know, when people have too many options, they choose not to make a decision.
Nah,
And
that's
maybe
true.
that's what's
That's the problem.
Like, they're like, oh,
Millersville, do less.
Yeah.
Stop trying.
Yes.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Right.
No, that's a weird situation to be in. I think it becomes awkward for people like you guys who seem really passionate. You know what I mean? You guys seem like you're really trying, and I know what it's like to try and not get feedback. So I can only imagine with like years and years of college, how that can almost affect you. And so I commend you for like staying with it. I'm gonna ask one more question. That kind of I think will like end this well, but why Millersville and not like Spelman or Howard or like Morehouse? Like
Great
why
question.
did you like
That's what I'm trying to figure
yeah like you know you're
You asked for something
yeah.
today.
yeah you're talking about all these things and it could come down to finances, but like we talked a lot about like engagement, culture, classroom. We hit all these things, and like there's HBCUs. There's Lincoln is like an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why are you still here?
Well, I guess in my head, I'm like, well, if I got here, I'm a religious person, so I'm like, God ordered my steps here for a specific reason. So I kind of just trusted that fact when I got here. A lot of things that could be considered coincidences. How am I trying to say? A lot of things that could be seen as coincidences.
Yes.
A lot of consonants. Happened before I accepted, I was accepted into Millersville. So I'm like, okay, this has to be the school for me, But I always ask myself, like, I also applied to Hampton. I only applied to 2 schools, Hampton and Millersville.
Okay.
Hampton, I was like, okay, black elite school, whatever. I'm gonna love it. I got there and I'm like, I'm like, okay, you were kind of too elitist for me. And it was okay. I valued that sense of black excellence, but then it was like also a level like, okay, am I competing with my fellow black brother or my fellow black sister too? There's also a school called Oakwood University that in down south that I applied to. They have like the best choir in the world. Literally the best choir in the world.
Really?
They won the world choir
James
games.
knows.
Aliens?
And James knows everything music though.
Oh my gosh. They sound like angels. I'm like, I remember I could have went there. I remember going to my first choir rehearsal at Millersville. It was a good choir. It's,
Yeah, but you were dreaming in the back of your head.
And back in my head, all I could hear was the Aeolian. Like, OMG, like we would have had this song like lit. I was just like, if I went to HBCU, like even the gospel choir, being in Millersville's gospel choir, it's significantly smaller. There's less student musicians, there's less people in it, If I went to Howard's Gospel Choir, I would probably be performing with a major artist at the BET Awards right now. Like they asked their Howard's Gospel Choir to come, hey, perform with Yolanda Adams, or hey, perform on the Grand, like they get those offers. They yell at us, come perform for the White House. You're like, that's not being afforded to me as a student at Millersville. So I always think like, why didn't I go to those schools? And I haven't figured out the answer yet.
Okay.
But I do love Millersville to death.
Yeah.
And I believe that God ordered my steps here for a reason.
Of course.
And through the people that I meet, through the experiences that I've been offered, I do consider it a blessing, and I'm grateful that I am here. So I don't. Yeah. For right now, I don't regret it at all.
No, I know. I understand that.
Why I didn't choose that, I don't know.
Exactly. Okay. That's a fair
I think
answer.
I still made the right decision.
Yeah. Hopefully, yeah. Then hopefully,
I mean, I guess I'll figure it out
like a
once I get
whisper
the first
afterwards.
loan payment.
The first one.
Like, oh, snap, writing the check. Like, was it really worth it? Meanwhile, looking back at the Snapchat memories, I'm like, okay, you know. I guess it would have been more lit at Howard, but, you know.
Well, not everything is about lit or not lit. I mean, it's about education, too.
You're right.
That was my thing. That's why I was kind of like HBCU or online, like no in between. Like I've been accepted to Millersville like 3 times, and like every time I get the acceptance letter, I'm like, I could do this, but I don't know that that's me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for me, it was literally like I'm gonna do HBCU or I'm just gonna do my own thing.
Yeah.
Like that's the experience that I wanted. What about for you?
I think that the reason why I didn't go to an HBCU was because I was thinking I'd be too distracted, honestly. I was just like, it's going to be lit, it's going to be a great time, and maybe I'm not going to be focusing completely on my studies, you know? So when I decided to go here, I had like this vision completely planned out, and throughout the course of my time here, it's gotten a little disarrayed, I guess. And I'm finally starting to like figure out the vision again, and there are so many people here willing to help, so that's what's kept me here. But you have to reach out to them. They're not gonna, reach out to you. So,
Gotcha.
but I like Millersville. I like going here.
Yeah.
It's a great school. It's just we have our little issues here and there.
They
but
come with going to a PWI. I mean, you have the issues that just come with that.
EWI.
Yeah. No, that issue about like being distracted is very interesting because like I was also accepted to Morehouse, and so I was living in Atlanta at the time, and like that's literally what everybody told me. Everybody was like, yeah, everybody who transfers in with like a super high GPA, in their like first year it goes down by like almost a letter. Like
I can only imagine. You imagine being around that much blackness? Like I would just be.
Well,
lit.
yeah, I had
Lit.
friends that went to Morehouse. Like I was on Morehouse campus all the time, and like it was crazy lit. Like and even like their parties and things like that. Like all of them they're like a different world from
I can
like
imagine.
this. Yeah,
Sometimes it's like why didn't I do that?
So yeah, I can totally understand that being distracted thing because that was my number one concern when like I thought I was going to be going to Morehouse. I was like, man, I'm gonna have to really like figure out how I don't like fail out of this school because there's a lot going on at HBCUs all the time. Okay,
and
well,
to see so many beautiful black people, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
just, like,
very distracted.
You had to throw that in.
I'm just thinking about it now. I'm just like, wow. Like,
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
It is true.
Here now.
He's like, now that I'm thinking about it. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you guys for your perspectives.
Yeah,
It was fun.
I really appreciate you guys sharing, and I was happy to learn about Millersville. Like I didn't know all these things, and so it was really helpful for me to kind of gauge that better. So thank you again, and thank you for watching, all the listeners. We'll be back at it next week.